Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelley Hoffman. We hope you enjoy the show and find it very informative. Hey there, Dick Clarke, Mayor of Baldwinsville, wearing your green. Happy St. Patrick's Day. How are you doing today?
You too, Shelley. I'm very good. And
Good.
Happy to see you. We took a week off last week because you were pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
And some things piled up. It's some good news, generally.
Really?
I've learned I can't tell you that I have bad news until I tell it. I don't want you to flip the switch and turn me off. Since we last saw you, we've heard, the federal government has passed the stimulus package and that we will be getting some money. We had a meeting yesterday with Chuck Schumer, who is the majority leader of the Senate now, and also our senator in New York. And he was explaining some of the ins and outs of what we'll be getting. What actually happens is Lysander and Van Buren each will get a chunk, like in the low millions, $1.5 million, $2 million, something like that. And we'll get a percentage based on how many people live in the village in those towns.
Okay.
But there is some things you can't use it for, or only things you can use it for. For instance, infrastructure, water, sewer, streets, that type of thing, that kind of infrastructure, to pay back money that you spent on COVID and money that you didn't take in. We have like a $9,000 line in our budget for money from concerts on Paper Mill Island. Well, because of the COVID, we didn't have them, so our budget was short $9,000. Also, our court, we have a number we estimate we'll take in ticket fines and that type of stuff. Well, it was way below that. The court was closed for a while, opened up, and it's still closed. So that number is down quite a bit, so we can replace that, plus the money we spent on masks and gloves and all the other safety things. We can pay ourselves back for that. And but some other things he mentioned, that there is a 6-month grant for restaurants to kind of recover. So they should look into that. Call Chuck Schumer's office. If you just go on Google and look up Senator Schumer, it'll list you. There's a Syracuse office, I believe, and you can call and ask how you qualify for that. There's money in this stimulus package, emergency renter and mortgage assistance, so that if you're behind on your rent, it's been kind of a tough situation because we don't want to force people out on the streets who can't pay their rent because of the COVID. But then we also have people who own the properties who are not getting the rent they need to pay the mortgage on that property. So there is some help there. There is aid for schools. Obviously there was some shortcomings, particularly like somebody said, well, how could a school like Syracuse University come up short? Well, believe it or not, I know people like to criticize football and basketball as big money operations, but there wouldn't be small sports if it wasn't for the big sports.
Right.
And in a lot of cases, kids go to a school. I mean, there's kids probably who watch TV and have a chance to go to, say, a business school, and they're watching Syracuse with 30,000 people in a basketball game, and they're saying, I can go to Syracuse, I can go to Buffalo, I can go to a small school in Pennsylvania. I like the idea of being able to walk over to the Dome and be in the middle of 30,000 people. Believe it or not, that does have an attraction for people.
Yes.
So there is some aid for schools. We'll get half of the money we're due this year and then half next year. So that works out nice. We can, and he told us that is guaranteed. Whatever you're getting, once it's determined by the Treasury Department, that's what we will get. So that if we pick up $100,000 this year, we can budget that we'll get $100,000 again next year. And that's kind of nice to know, because this COVID thing is kind of, we don't know when the total effect will go away, if ever. I mean, we may be buying masks and gloves for as long as we have a village. So that's nice to know that there is some of that money coming. And I'm sure the two towns are happy because they same boat we were in a lot of situations. And there's some water projects that we probably will look to spend some of that money on that we were going to spend out of the regular budget. So that's kind of nice. Just trying to see here. I've really got like a mishmash of things. Speaking of COVID impacts, got a letter from the canal systems that attendance at canal sites, parks, walkways was up 30% this year.
Wow.
So we talked before about how people want to get out, and our parks were very busy. Chuck McAuliffe, our DPW foreman, said that never seen the parks in as bad a shape with trash as diapers all over the place and stuff like that. So our crews have been busy. People, I asked him, I said, just out of curiosity, and I know you have a lot of things to do besides plow roads in the wintertime, but what are our guys working on? He said, well, we've had 3 or 4 of them in the parks. They're walking around picking up trash, taking notes on things that, something's broken, something needs to be painted. A part of the trail got washed out by rain and snow, so that when we can get in the parks and do work, they've got a checklist of what they want to take care of. Because Chuck has said to me, obviously he is aware that getting the parks in shape early will be crucial for people. Yeah. We're still trying to decide what to do with restrooms, what the decision will be from the county on how often they have to be cleaned and that type of stuff. We are looking at some money from the county to do some capital work. And one of the things that I've suggested was handless faucets and flush, so you just put your hand in front of it and the water comes on. There is no knobs to clean. There's no flush handle on the toilet. You stand up and it flushes, that type of thing. And we put them in all of our structures that have bathrooms throughout the village. So, including parks. So that would save us a little bit of concern about people coming in. Now everybody's handling the same water faucets. Well, there's no water faucet anymore. So hopefully that would make us a little bit better shape. And again, some of this money from the federal government, if we have to hire somebody to clean bathrooms on a regular basis, we clean them every day. Usually in the morning, I think when they open them up, I think the DPW opens them in the morning. They go in, wipe down the sinks and the toilet seats and all that type of stuff. And then at night, the police department goes around and locks them up. So we may have to do more cleaning than that, and we'll find out shortly, I'm sure. Other departments, I asked for, anything that I should share with Shelley, and no secrets here. Greg Humphrey, our code officer, said he had a request from somebody. What did they have to do to have ducks in their yard? They want a fence in their yard. Can't do that.
No.
There's a family that had chickens. He had to tell them they couldn't keep the chickens in the village. Our code, no farm animals. So it makes it simple for people. And if they have a question, they can call the codes office. And if somebody thinks there needs to be a change to that, certainly we're open to talk about it. But we're a pretty residential village. And I don't think that we could do our code based on neighborhoods. Certain neighborhoods can't, but other neighborhoods could. That might be a little iffy. But
so do you think that when the ducks come and swim in my pool when I open it this year, I can call Greg and tell him to get the ducks out because I'm not allowed to have them?
Tell him whoever owns those ducks should take them home. Keep them on a leash. We used to have, we grew up right next to Gates Funeral Home. Mm-hmm. And now there's a big parking lot on the side of the funeral home between the 2 buildings. But when we were kids, they had a little fenced in grassy area, and they had a little tiny weeding pond. I mean, it was probably 1.5 feet deep, looked like handmade, and the ducks would come every year and nest in the bushes nearby because they'd go over and sit in the water. I'm sure it was warm from the sun, and they'd come up from the park, which was only a block away. And so almost every year you'd see baby ducks out there. It was kind of cute. And it's one of the nice attractions of the village is all the bird life. Unfortunately, I wish people wouldn't feed them. They throw the feed around the parking lot area, and then people pull in the parking lot and have seagulls and ducks and all that stuff, and some animal's going to get hurt. And there's enough food around for them without us feeding them like that. I mean, they find food in the river, on the riverbank. They're getting stuff out of the mud. If you watch them, they peck in the mud and get worms and stuff. It's hard to catch anybody doing it. I don't think it's a local code. I think it's a state environmental type thing. I don't think they want you feeding wild animals. And with the weather getting nicer, people are starting to think about the outside projects. Greg said, give him a call, stop down, get a permit, and any questions, he'll answer them, get you started on your project. Village Hall, the taxes have been rolling in. People are very good about it. You have till April 1st before there's a penalty attached. So people still have, 2 weeks left, which is nice. And I got a very strange request from the police department. You're never going to believe, this is so far out there, you've never heard it before. Lock your car. We had a big break on Tappan Street.
Yes.
Saw that on Facebook. I guess they were in Conifer. A friend of ours lives out further up Tappan Street. She said about what time they were talking, her dog started barking like crazy. So somebody must have been pretty close to her house. Mike said one car they stole because the keys were in the console and the door wasn't locked. And they found that car in the city. Another case of somebody with a lot of cash in the console plus a laptop, a work laptop, is gone. Lock your cars. Don't start your car in the morning and then go in the house and finish your breakfast with the car running. That didn't happen this time, but it has happened. Just as Mike quoted a movie, and people would just lock their cars. It would put an end to all this thievery. And I forget what movie it was, but he has not forgotten it.
I will ask him on the first Monday in April what that movie is and what the quote is. He can tell us. But I knew that was coming today because I saw it on Facebook too. So I thought we're definitely getting the lock the car doors from Chief Levenchick. So.
Yep. Another thing that we're involved with right now is the Main Street project that your business was involved with and now is continuing. We hope that the other ones pick up now that construction season is going. And we're one of the participants. And Greg Humphrey has been leading that charge, working with Chuck McAuliffe. Steve D'Arcangelo has been back because he sort of started all the project. And I guess Plumley is going to do some layout mapping type stuff. So we're going to put new sidewalk in all in front of where Kinney's is, up by the liquor store, going up toward the Four Corners. And in that stretch, we'll put in some benches, and we're going to put in some solar-powered streetlights, the old-fashioned looking ones that are down along River Street, that type of stuff, and make that a real nice area for people. It's kind of sad is that's the most visible area, and it's not terrible, but the sidewalk's in real bad shape, and it's a spot when there's a parade or anything. It's always full of people. It's a nice vantage point, and it's right on the main drag when people are coming in 31, and we really want to brighten that whole area up. So we think that by brightening up that area, it brightens up the businesses, and the business to take the old garage up in the back of where Morris Pumps was, up by the gym. Yes. That garage area, that group is coming back to the planning board next week, and they have firmer plans now, and they've changed a few things based on some questions the planning board had for them before. So they will present that. If people are interested in that kind of stuff, particularly planning board, zoning board, if we're having meetings, that should be available live on the code enforcement site on Facebook. Okay. So if you're one of those people that likes to know what's going on, what goes into some of that stuff, you just go on Village of Baldwinsville Code Enforcement, and the meeting should be on live. You just watch it. I mean, just like you would a regular television thing. It's streaming there. Very interesting. My wife and I watched the first meeting they had, and then we also watched a zoning board meeting a while back on a couple of houses who wanted to put on additions that were going to violate our code, our zoning code. And you don't realize all the thought that goes into making decisions. And you listen to our people on both our zoning board and our planning board, very well thought out. We have some great people, and they ask great questions, and they're there to help people, not to put them down and destroy their plans, but they also realize that there's other concerns other than just what those people want. So that hopefully is gearing up and getting some momentum going. That will be retail business areas up in the back. See how that all works. But we're working on our part of it. So hopefully we'll have a drawing, maps and drawings pretty soon for what we can do. Then we can go to bid on the sidewalk and go out and try to get the best deal we can on the lights and the benches. And hopefully, maybe by midsummer, all that stuff will be taken care of, and people will really appreciate our downtown even more.
Yeah.
It's been a very busy week with meeting today on Zoom with our group that we use for our compensation insurance. Have a mayor's meeting tonight. We had a mayor's meeting a week ago with Ryan McMahon about some of the stimulus money and impact on the county level. We have a meeting tomorrow about conducting meetings during the time of the pandemic, because there are areas that have asked the state, can we just continue to do our meetings virtually? That it's easier for everybody. They don't have to come in at night in the winter, particularly in the wintertime when the weather's terrible. And so this is NICOM trying to address some of those questions, and we'll see what happens with that. Let me see here. Just keep looking. I got lots of stuff. We've had some people are thinking, with the good weather starting to get you a little itchy. The Rotary is making not really a proposal because they don't know what they can do, but they're talking about different kinds of ways to handle events, that maybe they would have multiple events spread out over the summer so that wouldn't be huge crowds at any one event. They're talking about maybe smaller seated events at Mercer Park that would be for families. Everybody would like they put benches, picnic tables. Everybody would sign up ahead of time. You'd get assigned a bench. So now you'd go to your bench, and then you'd go get something to eat, bring it back to your bench, go to a stand, come back. They're also talking about doing the same kind of thing on Paper Mill Island, where I don't know if you've seen pictures, but some places have concerts and they have what look like big hula hoops on the ground, and you get assigned to one of those areas, and then you put your lawn chairs or a blanket or whatever inside that area, and that's where you are singing, no jamming together at the stage and that type of stuff. So they're looking for a little bit of guidance, and at this point, we're very close, I think, to being able to give them some answers.
Okay.
But we're really a little squeamish about making those decisions, and then have the county or somebody come in and go, you really should have asked us. And so that's what we've done, and we are doing, is asking the county for leadership on that. Farmers Market, I did get an voicemail from Mike Samurai the other day saying that he and Michelle were pretty busy, didn't know that they could run a farmers market, but if somebody in the community would love to be the face of the farmers market, they would offer their expertise, maybe their phone list of people, that type of stuff. So contact me if anybody has any interest in the farmers market. Would love to see something for the summer, even if it's just produce people, 5 or 6 pickup trucks with produce on the back. It's a good opportunity for a fundraiser for one of the groups at the school or whatever to come down and, like if there's nothing else going on, sell hot dogs, sell bags of popcorn. There might be some options there. so that if anybody has any thought on a direction for the farmers market, please let me know what you're thinking, and we'll see what we can do with it. I have to make a phone call today to the DOT. I sent a letter in with signatures from Bob Wicks and Claude Sykes about the shape of Route 48 from the village line to the Four Corners, and it really needs some serious work. Told me that they got the request. They are putting it through the channels. So I want to call and make sure they realize how serious we are about wanting to get that taken care of. If they can't do the whole strip, please do some solid patching where they come in and grind out some of the big holes and patch it so it lasts till next year if that's when they figure they'll do it. Somebody has proposed a yoga class for students on Paper Mill Island that would be on Wednesdays, April through September. Start like 4:30 at night and go for an hour and a half, which sounds terrific. Now, the only thing I did say to Jody at Village Hall is to tell the people they need to clear that with Chuck Chow, who's our promoter, because if he's got a concert that starts at 6, the stage area is going to be pretty busy. And if that's what they're planning on using, then it might not work as well on some nights. But they might be able to do it 20 out of 22 nights type of thing. So that's interesting that people are thinking of the island that way. Love having people out there. The Zumba goes out there once a year. And, they have 30, 40 people, and they're all spread out, and they have a ball. And it's nice that the island's getting used. We have been officially certified as a Tree City USA again, 35 years of being a Tree City USA. For people who don't know, that means you have to have a board or a group that evaluates trees, and we do have that led by Bruce Stebbins. You have to have a tree care ordinance, and we do have that. The community has to have a tree budget that's at least $2 per resident. So that would be about $15,000, and we usually do about $40,000 worth of trees between replacing them and trimming and taking down and so on. In some years it's $80,000. So, and you have to have an Arbor Day observance. Big John comes out from ESF, and we go, usually the village has put in a tree the day before, and we go and hold up the banner that says Tree City USA, and so people recognize that we are involved. So when you look around and see all the younger trees, that's all part of the Tree City program. Couple major things that will be on the agenda for the meeting tomorrow night that people might be interested in watching the village board meeting, and you can go to the village Facebook site and see that live. Mike Leffencheck and the police department had to come up with the whole state had to, a reform and reinvention collaborative plan. And that's several items that the governor listed that needed to be considered. Use of force protocol, that type of stuff. Well, almost everything that was listed is something we already do. So it was relatively easy, but all the police departments in the county partnered with the district attorney. And so they came up with a countywide basic operating plan, and then each one had to come up with a specific plan for their community. And so that will be voted on tomorrow night. That's a public document. People can ask for a copy of that and look at it. It covers a lot, and Mike and his crew did a great job putting that together. We also put together, again, with the help of Mike and with Mo, a pandemic work plan for the village. It has to be in effect by April 1st, so that if we have another huge bout of pandemic, we would basically do what we did last time around. I mean, that's what we talked about, and everything we did, we would do again. We would have people working from home. We would keep essential workers working, non-essential not working unless they could do it from home. So in a lot of it, it's what do you do if you've been exposed? It's spelled out, so now the employees have that, and they don't have to wonder what. I mean, I can remember when Chuck first took over for Steve. Basically, there were questions. People got exposed. What do we do? I said, call the county. Well, he called the county in 2 different situations, got 2 different answers.
Yep.
So then Mike said, all of our people, our chief, lieutenant, and one of our sergeants have been trained in the tracking system and tracing contacts and stuff. So we now have everybody go through the police department and they get answers there.
Good.
And fortunately, we haven't had too many of those kind of issues lately. It's been, knock on wood,
Pretty common.
in that area. So if anybody's interested, both those documents would be available. Once we pass them, we would probably post them online, so, on our website, so people could go in and read. The police one is longer. Our pandemic one is pretty straightforward. We tried to make it as simple as possible so that people aren't, having to read every line and it just says, do this, do that, and so on. And I saw Mo sent me a copy of a new law put in place by the governor that we have to allow people up to 4 hours paid time off to go get their shots, their vaccines.
Okay.
So if anybody has any concerns, and this is public and private, so if it affects you, anybody who works for you says they need to get a shot, you can't say, well, take the afternoon off on your own time and go get it. You have to pay them up to 4 hours.
You can't tell them to go at 2 a.m.
Yeah, well, you can. I mean, we would hope that people who are concerned about the workforce and that we've got a lot of work to do, I don't want to put us behind, could find the time. But
I'm just here.
I think you would take care of your people.
I would.
Let me see here. Tomorrow night, also at the meeting, this will be very, very interesting, and I think people should really tune in to watch, because the ambulance corps will come to present their case for public tax support for the ambulance corps. They're not looking to pay for their whole budget. They have a limited amount that they need to be guaranteed, and it's very small when you consider what people are asking for these days. They will come and present their case. They will be asking the 2 towns to include the tax on their annual tax roll. Our people in the village already live in a town, so we will pay that tax, and we would not do a separate one for people in the village. That's
Okay.
always hard for people to understand, but that's how it works. Okay, kind of getting down at the bottom here. The senior centers is moving very well. Yesterday they had another drive-up thing. They had Linda and I went over, and they had St. Patrick's Day cookies and a lottery ticket, and a couple people won a couple. But it was just nice again for them to see people. They're going, oh, there's Joe and there's Margaret and there's and they look good, and everybody was waving to everybody and yakking it up, and it was very nice. So on the horizon, we got good news. People who are homebound, seniors who are homebound, can now get the vaccine in their home. You call 679-4099. You give the information, they'll set up an appointment. I think they call you back and tell you when the people will be coming to give you the shot. This is for seniors who do not have a connection with a home care agency. If you have somebody coming in your house on a weekly basis to help somebody who needs assistance, you're probably going to get your shot through that agency. This is just for somebody's living with you, an elderly parent or grandparent, and you can call and get them appointment to have somebody come in, rather than try to get them in the vehicle and take them to the fairgrounds and walk them through that. I know you can use wheelchairs and so on, but sometimes it's a lot easier to have somebody come in the house.
I was wondering about that with homebound people, how they were going to get them. And everyone says it's very efficient. It's very quick to go through. I know Bob Wicks had talked about it last week, but it's still standing for a couple hours. So I'm glad to hear that they now can come in the home to do that.
Yep. So that's a good setup. And the senior center, Book club on this Tuesday. The art group is April 6th. Down memory lane each Monday at 4. I think bingo is on, I don't know if it's the 5th or the 12th this coming month. It's first or second Tuesday. But anyways, the bingo has been highly popular. We got ourselves some new chips. They have a little metal band on them. So you put them on the card, and then there's this wand with a magnet, and you go, picks up all the chips. My wife can find something for everything. So we are ready for bingo.
Nice.
And just now, the St. Patrick's Day dinner that was for today for the seniors, so I mean, it was booked up in like 2 or 3 days. But tomorrow, St. Mark's Church, which is on 370, just up over the hill, going out towards Liverpool, they're having a free corned beef and cabbage dinner. It's called Grab and Go. It's 4 to 6 p.m. and it's free. So I think you just show up, and 2 of us give us 2 meals, and you go. And St. Mark's has done meals for years. We used to take Linda's mom there, and they had turkey dinners. I mean, big 2 or 3 turkeys they'd cook, and they wouldn't take any money. It was their outreach to the community, and it was nice because you saw a lot of people you knew. And so that was, you haven't seen you in 5 or 6 years, how you been? And I think that was the plan, was people would get together. And I'm sure they hope that if somebody sees or hears something they like there, that maybe they'd come back and go to church on Sunday and be involved. But there was no push for that. And so they're having a free meal tomorrow, 4 to 6 at St. Mark's. Trying to think if I have anything else. I've had a lot of notes written, just kind of throwing things together. I didn't want to forget anything. That's what usually happens, is we sign off and I go,
No.
no, I think that's about it. We're still waiting to hear from the county. I mentioned, I think last time, that we had 4 things that we were asking about, like getting seniors back in the senior center and that type of stuff. I think everybody's kind of hedging. The numbers have been pretty good. They're kind of curious if they'll keep going down as more people get vaccinated. And so it may be another week before we hear something from the county. I know Ruth would like to get people back in the senior center. I'm going to ask her to give me a write-up of her plan for when people come in the door, how they'll do it. She did that before. They have the temperature thing, the questionnaire, have you been out of the state, blah, 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 blah. They weren't getting huge numbers of people for the events. I know people are pushing hard. They'd love to get back in and play cards and that type of stuff. A little uncertain how that's going to work out, how long that's going to take, but they're saying that they all be willing to wear masks and maybe only have 4 people. They have big card tables, and maybe they'd only have 4 people at a table. Whether they'd have them wearing gloves, I don't know. I don't know how well you could play cards with gloves on. But they're getting itchy, and we watch a show on Tuesday night, New Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. It's a hospital show. And last night, part of the theme was that they wanted to get people coming back to the hospital, partly because their revenues were down. People weren't getting surgeries done, but also because they were finding people who were having problems at home, being isolated. And don't stay home if you don't feel good. Please come to the hospital. We're the safest place you can go, type of stuff. It's a TV show, but I think they were appealing to some concerns that a lot of people have, that the isolation is wearing them down.
Yeah.
So other than that, nice to see that the winter sports season, the basketball teams got to play. I'm sure the spring sports are excited about getting to be outdoors and playing. Yeah. That's a real good thing. Syracuse is playing Friday night. People are fired up about that. And the weather's we're supposed to have like 2-3 days of 60 degrees, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That would be nice. People will be outside cleaning their yards. Things will seem hey, this is life again, you know? So, I hope
Definitely.
everybody has a great St. Patrick's Day. Remember, if there's any questions, you know, in the village, call our village hall and they'll get you to the right place. If you're a senior, make sure you call Canton Woods for help with transportation and questions about if you haven't done your income taxes yet, any of those kinds of things. I know a neighbor who said she uses the free income tax service that Canton Woods provides, and the library provided it too. And now she can't find anybody that's doing that. So we told her to call Canton Woods, that they might know somebody who would, you know, come to her house, you know, with mask, and we'll sit at the opposite ends of the table and take care of it. So again, if there's things like that that are concerning people, don't just sit and fret and stew. Make some phone calls. We'll get you, the Canton Woods will get you hooked up with how to get an appointment for your shots, all that kind of stuff. So again, I hope everybody has a nice St. Patrick's Day. Go Cuse.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thanks again for the information. That was a busy week. Even your wife said it's a busy time in the village. So appreciate your time as always. And you're wearing green. I'm wearing my typical black and red because that's all I pretty much wear.
It's closer to Steelers than green.
Sure, so.
Yeah, I don't have. I went to put on green yesterday because they asked when you came to get, you know, the St. Patrick's thing over at the center. Please wear green. Well, I don't have any bright green except, well, my T-shirt is bright green. I had that over a long sleeve green T-shirt, and then a green fleece jacket on. So I had multiple shades of green. I didn't have any of that, just a real bright green. I mean, I saw a couple people today. My buddy's sister out in Arizona or out in Colorado, and her hair is just bright lime green. And I saw a picture of him, and he's got a big mustache that comes down, and that he colors that green, and his little bit of hair that he's got is green. So some people really get into it. They're clearly very Irish. I know about this much Irish somewhere.
Maybe I have some in a nail, but as you know, we were late today because I have a friend who lives in Ireland who is doing a networking event. And I just spent the last 2 hours with a lot of Irish people. And there was a few people from America still that had joined, but there was a lot of, color, green colored and colorful personalities. And it was interesting, but I sat there again in my black and red because, as anybody who follows me on Facebook knows, I was out doing other things, flying in to hop onto that, to get off of that, to come here with you. But I absolutely love, hearing about what's happening in Baldwinsville, but this time hearing what was going on in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day, I thought was kind of cool. So Thank you again for delaying our talk so that I could participate in that event today.
Anything I can do, because I know you're helping us. So
Oh, thank you. So, I will enjoy your St. Patrick's Day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, Shelley. Bye-bye.
Bye.